All right, guys. Well, happy Hot Mess Monday. I'm Sugar Jones. I am your Hot Mess in residence. And this is the first Hot Mess Monday where we're actually streaming live to multiple platforms. We're on Facebook as usual, but we're also now on Twitter. And if you hop over to YouTube, I'm over there too, but I'm kind of like lost in the crowd of YouTube. This mostly just helps me out be able to just like have my recording there available for those people that have quit Facebook a long time ago. So hello to all my Twitter friends. I love you guys. I'm so excited we get to hot mess together this time. So today's going to be a lot of fun. And I think some of you might have seen the episode a couple of weeks ago, gone back to see it. And we're going to kind of follow up on that. But before we get into our conversation with my guest, Veronica Clark, I want to remind you guys to please like Hot Mess Monday. So if you are on Facebook, please like the page and stick around for a little more than a minute, would you? Because it really, really is helpful. And I see Lillian over from Twitter. Lillian! Oh, I'm so excited. You guys, I've been on Twitter for like 12 years now. So all of my really good friends are over on Twitter. So I'm so happy, like super duper. Like I feel like I finally got you guys to come to my house. So I'm very excited. So on Twitter, if you don't follow me already, I am at Sugar Jones. I'm at Sugar Jones on Instagram. I'm pretty much at Sugar Jones everywhere except for YouTube. It's like Sugar Jones Loves You or something like that because a Canadian girl band got the whole Twitter thing first. So anyway, whatever. What are you going to do? If you are also on Facebook, please join the Hot Mess Monday Book Club because that's where I'm going to tell you who won the vibrator from 2 weeks ago. So that will be announced after today's show. So make sure that you go over there and join the Hot Mess Monday Book Club. All right, so I think I got all that business out of the way, and I'm really stoked to see everybody here. Oh my gosh, you guys, really, literally super stoked to have all of my Twitter friends over here right now. Okay, I really feel like I've I don't know. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get over my feelings right now so we can finish talking. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a really big conversation on vibrators. It started off actually on Twitter too, because I was at a Target. There were all these vibrators there in the middle of like toothpaste and deodorant. And I was like, wow, we have come a long way, haven't we, baby? And so I posted that and it really sparked a conversation. And to the point where the PR guy was like, hey, I work with these guys. Do you want a couple samples? I was like, yeah, sure. Send me a couple. Sent me the entire line pretty much. There are a couple of things that were missing, which Brian, if you want to send those, you can. But but anyway, so I had a lot of fun with those, as you can imagine. And it really sparked a big conversation. But the secondary conversation was kind of around still this shame and kind of like, we don't talk about those things at our house, you know? So I really wanted to delve deeper with somebody who works on that. And that's when I reached out to my new friend, the goddess Veronica Clark. I've been following Veronica for I think maybe a little less than a year. She sometimes comes out to Oceanside and Carlsbad area, which is where I live. And I think that's where I might have first come across her. Somebody might have shared something she did or said. So it was really exciting to see that. Rachel Ferrucci, hello. It's so good. Rachel and I have been friends since the early Twitter days. So Rachel, as a good friend of mine, if you want to share this, please do. But before, real quick, my outfit today, you guys, is from Coco Rose. Go to cocorose.com if you'd like beautiful little outfits like this, because I hear house dresses are coming back. So if you're going to be in a house dress, you might as well make it look cute. And look how cute these little pom-poms are. And I know Veronica actually, and that's why we met, because I saw that she had been to the Coco Rose shop in Carlsbad. And I was like, you're in town, oh my God, let's meet for drinks. So I am going to go ahead and introduce you to my beautiful, lovely goddess friend, Veronica Clark.
I just love you.
I have way too much energy on a Monday morning is what I hear, so I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, I'm on a bouncy ball right now, so just be aware.
Yeah, so that's okay. So I have to tell everybody real quick, Veronica bounces, and I am going to get a bouncy ball because I think that would help work out all the energy, because I'm constantly moving and doing, and I think if I'm bouncing, I might chill the hell out.
It's very true. It helps you to disperse energy in so many ways. Plus, it's super good for your lymphatic system, which is really important for a healthy sexual experience and expression in life, and overall just for, increasing your creativity, because you're not all stuck and stagnant. So I highly recommend getting a bouncy ball. It's a Guyane ball. So anyhow.
So I just posted real quick. It said, "This is happening." Yes, it's finally happening. I'm finally streaming on Twitter. Like, it's the weirdest thing that I haven't done that so far. So sorry, I had to post that real quick.
Girl,
so,
no,
say hello to all my Twitter friends. You have to say hi to all my Twitter friends, Veronica.
Hi, Twitter friends.
I'm like, Veronica, leave them hanging. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm so excited though to be here on your first live stream. I think it's really awesome. So this is fun. It's amazing that we can reach so many people now via technology and start to have these really important conversations like the ones that we're going to have today. So yeah. It's really amazing. What's up? Big shout out to everybody on Twitter and on Facebook.
And on Facebook. Yes.
YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
And my good friend Rachel, she says she loves bouncing balls. If you know Rachel, Rachel is full of energy. So Rachel is literally a bouncy ball. So like a very thin bouncy ball, just so we're clear.
Good. Hey, whatever shape is all beautiful, right?
That's right. That's right. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So like when you and I were talking and I was telling you a little bit about the experience that I had about, posting the thing about the vibrators, you're like, oh, it's so great that we're having these conversations. But the one thing I did say is I didn't want to shake anybody's sensibilities. And I still have a lot of friends from church. And my daughter is very involved in church. And she was just like, please, Mom, just keep it PG. Like, she doesn't even like if I show a little tiny bit of cleavage on Instagram. And I'm like, oh my God, like, come on, chill out. This is your mom. It's like you grew up with me,
Right.
But there is still that cultural, like, keep it toned down. Like, don't show your sexuality. So kind of talk about like because you do retreats and you talk about this. You talk about how to tap into that and how to tap into it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to address something that you just said, I think, because this is really important. And you can see how deeply ingrained this idea of shame around sexuality really is. That we are trying to maintain some like status quo. This is appropriate. This is not appropriate. This is how we fit in. This is how we do things. And what's happening is that it's not allowing us to change the conversation quickly enough or to shift out of shame. And so when things like, especially our sexuality and expression of sexuality is limited to, let's say, our lower regions, just to, having sex, then we really miss out on so much of the vitality, the purpose, the intention for why we were given our sexuality in the first place.
Yeah. It's like it's being relegated.
Go ahead.
I hate using this word, but it's like it's being bastardized, right? It's just being taken in. It's being used as a weapon against women, as opposed to something to glorify women about.
Well, and women are represented also.
We make people with our parts. Like,
how much more creative can you become? Seriously, like that is it.
Right.
But, throughout the centuries, from the very, very beginning, sex. Everybody knows how powerful sex is. There's no denying the power of sex. The issue is though when we relegate it to simply, having sex, like just penis and vagina or whatever body parts you want to put in there, right? Maybe whatever it is, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we have to really change. And I think as parents and some of us maybe who are in other professions where they have access and they can share and bring more knowledge and depth to the education and influence people, we have to start learning how to be uncomfortable having conversations about sex with our kids and also with the younger population, so that we do not continue to grow more adults who are confused about sex, are having sexual interactions in the dark because they feel like it's shameful. This is only perpetuating more, sexual violence. There's so many pieces.
Right.
So,
Right. And then that's where teen pregnancy happens.
Absolutely.
As it happened. And that was my story. That was really my story, because I was sexual at 16. And I felt like in my friends, well, they might have been lying to me, but in my friend group, I was the last one to hold, I was the last holdout, you know? And I was like, and I remember like, and this is a horrible story, but there was a guy named Danny, and Danny had a thing for girls who were virgins, and he would chase after them and whatever. And I was like, I just got to get this over with. Like, and that's how I looked at it. I was like, I just got to get this over with. You know, because I need to get it over with because it's just this thing. I didn't enjoy it. I honestly didn't enjoy sex until after I divorced my first husband and I already had 2 kids. Like I did not, like I enjoyed making out. I enjoyed touching and feeling and squeezing and all that good stuff. But I didn't ever really enjoy the act of sex. And that was so sad, you know, and nobody was going to tell me that because I would already, quote unquote, shamed the family by getting pregnant. So I never talked to my mom about birth control. I certainly never talked to her about the pleasure of sex. And I definitely didn't talk to anybody about the fact that I had not even had a freaking orgasm. After 2 babies, I had never had an orgasm. But I was being blamed and like, you know, shamed on all this. And I carried that for a long time. And you probably, in your retreats and everything, probably come across a lot of women that have been shamed for their sexuality.
Absolutely. I have women from so many different backgrounds, whether it was from, you know, sexual trauma and abuse or religious oppression and shame, or just really just the silence that parents are doing. You know, a lot of parents are doing the very best that they can, and they think that it's okay to, you know, they think that that's the best thing to do to protect their children from sex, having sex.
From the big bad penis.
About it. So they have no idea. They have no idea. Our young men don't know what to do. The young women don't know what to do. And then we're burdened with this bag of shame that we carry for God knows how long. And so finally we can start to, you know, hopefully come across some, you know, are able to just like find some opening within ourselves to realize that we can lessen this load and start to sift through that and realize that it was all conditioning. It was all stuff that we bought that somebody was selling, and we didn't have to do that, and we no longer have to carry that. But you know, it takes time, and I am such an advocate. Like we have to start the sexual revolution. I'm not talking about burning bras, and I'm not talking about, like, you know, just like, but I'm saying we have to first of all allow the expression of sexuality to be more than just in the genitals, and honor that honor the sexuality also that is experienced within the genitals and through the connection, and how beautiful that can be. This kind of brings me to just one thing I want to share really quick. But I had a conversation with she was then 15, she's 16 years old now. And, you know,
I wanted you to touch on this. I love this. We talked about this, and I wanted you to touch on this. I'm so glad you are. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, it's so important. And it was such an important moment for both she and I. And we have a close relationship as it is, but I never talked about, you know, her being aroused or horny, right? And it's a real thing. So I said to her, we're driving, and I said, honey, what do you do, you know, when you get horny? And she kind of chuckled a little bit and like looked away. And I'm like, no, seriously, like, what do you do? And she was like, I don't know, I just ignore it. You know, I just ignore it. And I just ignore it. And I just get on TikTok. Like, TikTok is taking over even now, you know. But anyway, she's like, I just start looking at TikTok and I just ignore it. And so I said to her, I was like, what if instead of ignoring it, you just recognize that you're feeling that and be excited about it, and use that feeling to start doing something else, like dancing or painting or writing. Do something creative. I said, because that is your creative energy saying, I'm alive inside of you. I'm alive. I'm alive. And this aliveness has to be celebrated.
When you said that, that was the first time I ever really thought of it that way. And I know I've been to different, and I've read different things where I'm like, where our sexual area, our sexual organs, that is this point of creation, and you can vibrate love and creativity from there. And if you are really seriously meditating, like when guys ask me, well, tell me about meditation, I'm like, I can't really tell you about my meditation because I really want to talk about it like that with you. But what I would do is try, you know, whatever. So
I love that you meditate with that.
That's that vibration, right? You don't necessarily have to have it, but you're just like, that's your creation area. So when you said that, I was like, God, I've always felt that. I just never verbalized that. So it was really great that you said it that way. And I thought, when you first told me that story about your daughter, I'm like, oh, did you tell her to go masturbate?
I'm like, let's leave the creative channels open and it's totally fine, you know? But, you know, one thing that just came to my mind, and I want to share this before I lose it, is this piece around some of the reasons why I think it can be so uncomfortable for women and possibly men also, but I'm going to speak just from a woman's perspective because I'm a woman.
Wow.
And it's this, like, I personally remember feeling very afraid to express my sexuality, right? In any way. So whether it was like too, what I would have thought provocative of dancing, right? Because now this is an invitation and people are going to start to think that I am inviting them in to have sex with me or to touch me, you know, and I don't want to talk about it because then that means that maybe that I'm going to be considered to be a slut or that, you know, somebody's going to make this idea about me that is going to be less than ideal. And so therefore I have to pretend like I'm a good girl, you know, and I need to smile and I need to like look prim and proper. And I did that for so long. And how painful is that? But here's the main piece though. It's a lack of boundaries. Because when we are firmly rooted in our boundaries and we are able to express ourselves and also still to be able to express, yes, our full sexuality and our full aliveness, but we have boundaries, nobody can come and touch that and take that away. Because, you know, even now, as much as I share these, you know, things, even like on Facebook, or sometimes, you know, I'll share topless photos where I'm like, might be holding my breath.
That's a great picture, by the way. That is a beautiful shot. I'll share it, you guys. I'll share it. You want to see a topless photo of Veronica? I will share it in the Hot Mess Monday book club. So y'all have to join in order to see that picture. That's right.
You know, the thing is that it's because, you know, I feel comfortable doing that because I'm very firmly rooted in who I am. I know what my message is. I know what I'm about. And it doesn't matter to me. I know that I'm not going to be for everyone. But what's really beautiful is the energetic boundaries. So I don't get sexualized pictures or comments. Nobody
I don't either.
You know what I mean?
That's the funny thing. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, you must have got so many DMs from that." I'm like, "No, I don't." No, it's so funny. I can post certain things, and people are like, "Cool," you know, but they don't come into my DMs and are like, "Baby," you know. Whereas, you know, there's a lot of that goes on, and that's a whole other conversation about like actual sex workers or whatever that are actually doing that or whatever. I'm just like every now and then I'm like, you know what? I thought I looked hot and I wanted to share that with y'all. So, but I think that you're right. Like there's a certain conversation, there are conversations that I have and certain things that I talk about and certain ways that I talk to people that I think did create some kind of boundary to where I don't get nasty, uninvited, you know, messages. I actually get really like, wow, you look very happy is what they'll say. You look happy. I'm like, I am ecstatic right now.
so listen to this. So feel into this, really. Because when sexuality then, whatever it is that we're talking about in sexuality, because our energy can exude our sexuality, which again is our creativity. It's our life force energy. When we can harness our sexuality more, we can harness more of our life force energy. Therefore, we can make a greater impact on and influence others in a positive way, right? Without, and it's not an overt use of sex coming from, you know, like trying to, anyways, the point is that it's important for us to recognize and call out the power of when our sexuality is harnessed in a very specific way. In a way that allows us to be empowered, we can influence and help to turn on a light in somebody else that maybe they don't even quite understand just yet, but they get to touch a piece of that by, you know, through pictures or through words or through a podcast or something like that. And that helps to shift their energetic frequency. When all of our energetic frequency starts to vibrate at a higher capacity, this is when we are going to start really raising the vibration of the planet and also being able to access our sexuality more consciously.
You guys, honestly, this is the age of the goddess, and we are two goddesses, and y'all can come along and play with us if you'd like. It's a lot more fun on our side.
Please do.
So, but I like what you said about harnessing the energy. And as you were saying that, I visualized the, you know, the big white windmills on the way out to Palm Springs. They're everywhere, specifically in Palm Springs. But think about, they're so quiet and so like so like, honestly, when I drive by, they're hypnotizing, you know, they're so graceful, but they're massive and they're wielding tons of power and they are producing tons of power, but they just sit there like, I'm just gonna rotate.
Yeah.
And that's what, and that's
that visual
that we have. We really do have this really strong power that we need to learn to wield, you know, because wind can just blow. It can just blow everywhere. Or it can be captured and used for good and amazing creations. So that's what I wanted to talk to you. I'm so excited.
That's a really powerful visual. I really love that visual. Thank you for that. Yeah, we were just in, you know,
pictures go in my head all the time. That's why sometimes I'll be like,
I love that. And woman, you really are a goddess. I just love like all that energy, that light just exuding off of you. This is also something else that women really need to see, is women connecting in truth like this, in our power, in our goddessness, not being intimidated, and fully like, like I get to be with this hot ass goddess. And we're just that much, you know what I mean? It's just
oh my God, we were just,
even more.
This will surprise absolutely no one that I know, but when we first met, we were so loud.
I know.
And you like, and honestly, like I've never met anybody like as loud as me, you know, and it was so funny. Like, I feel like you almost kind of blew out an eardrum when you screamed in my, you got it. I don't know what we were talking about. But we were getting super excited. You jumped up, you hugged me, and you screamed in my ear, and I was like, oh.
I'll be mindful of that next time. Thank you.
That's okay. That was karma, I'm sure.
Yeah. I love it. You know, really quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to myself, because I see, I just looked and I saw my Liberate Your Orgasm podcast on here, and I just want everybody to know that do check out the Liberate Your Orgasm podcast. And, you know, it's really aimed at helping women to reclaim their sexuality if they've experienced any disconnection as a result of sexual violence, rape, you know, as I mentioned, religious shame, anything like that. But when even surgeries, you know, we've had, you know, kind of surgeries or having babies, you know, our vaginas change and our bellies change and our breasts and everything feels so different. It's like, how do we reclaim our orgasm?
So you and I talked about this book on our last call, and it's Come As You Are. It's very cheeky, you guys. You guys, I will also put a link to, you know, get one of these on Amazon today. But one of the conversations in this book was talking about like the physical aspects of what a vagina looks like, what the labias look like, because there's a lot of shaming between women. Like, mine's all nice and tucked in. I'm like,
I know, and that's all they show. And like,
and mine, you know, I don't know what mine, you know, looks like compared to yours, but you know, like, why are we comparing this? Why are we tearing each other down on the physicality of our vaginas?
You know what's really beautiful? I want to share this because during one of my retreats, we actually.
You did the mirror thing.
Pleasure of looking at each other's vaginas.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like a new spin on the mirror.
We look at the mirror. We use the mirror because that's important. That's the first step, because some women have never even looked at their vagina and haven't been able to look at it.
Put a tampon in. I don't understand.
I
like,
mean,
you just try and just shove shit up there.
That's true. Many people do, because it's just perfunctory. It's like, here's just a function. I'm gonna pee. I'm gonna stick a tampon, or I use a menstrual cup. But like, you know, it's like, it's just perfunctory. But no, this is a new relationship. If we are going to change the vibration of our planet, we have to change the relationship that we have with our vagina, with our bodies, and with men, with their bodies, you know, or whoever it is. All beings have to really be able to come back into this intimacy, this deep connection with our bodies. So, so part of the ways that we are, like, that I help women to release their shame around their bodies also, and to be able to recognize actually how deeply ingrained their shame is, because sometimes we're like, I'm totally good, like I'm sexual, I'm fine, and I love other women, and blah, blah, blah. But then when we start looking at each other's vaginas, there's a whole nother level. It's very spiritual, it's very sacred, and it's done in such a beautiful way, but it's like, it's very bonding also, because we get to hold and say, wow, first of all, look at these beautiful different flowers, and also we get to hold each other like, oh my God, you've had, you know, maybe you tore during childbirth, and, you know, like, or whatever it was. And it's not like we're out there like studying it. It's not like an examination, but this is it's called a yoni puja, which is a very sacred practice is Eastern India, and it is just such a beautiful way to honor ourselves and honor the goddess within each of us in all her variations, in all her shapes and colors.
Like none of our faces look the same. None of our noses, none of our eyebrows, none of our facial lips look the same. Why would that look like everything? And I think there's a lot of, there's just a lot of, and there's a lot of that comes in this book. And there was another book that, oh my gosh, what's up down there? Have you seen that book?
Yeah, there's also, another really amazing one, it's fantastic illustrations, is The Woman's Anatomy of Arousal. It is such an incredible book. It is a really, really good, and she's so funny. She's so funny. There's cute little stories in there. It's written by an RN, but she has just been Sherry Winston, I believe it is.
Okay. So we'll put all these books in the Hot Mess Monday book club, you guys. So nobody actually has to read the book and turn in a book report. I just like to put links in there that are helpful, that kind of continue the conversation. And we don't have to talk about it. Nobody is commenting, which is hilarious. Except for, of course, Rachel and Lillian, my girls.
Thank you, Rachel and Lillian.
But this is the conversation, and it would be so great if we continue this conversation another time and everybody was talking. That would be fantastic. Actually, I'm not
let's put that out there as a challenge. Let's start changing the conversation. And I would even invite. We're uncomfortable because we don't know what to say. We don't want to be offensive. We want to be PC. Let's learn and practice how to say, you know what? If I'm coming from a place of integrity with myself, I'm coming from a place of honoring myself and honoring my body, then what can we say that's really going to be offensive?
Right.
If it's coming from love. That's really, when it's coming from love, because we bring a sense of curiosity to the conversation. I'm really curious about this. How do you pose this conversation? How do I have this conversation with my partner that I would like her or him to do X, Y, Z? Or how do I have this conversation with my children? Because we have to have a safe place where we can practice those conversations and have a good starting point. And this feels like a beautiful forum to do that. There's no judgment. And it's just let's just start changing the conversation. Let's just
So one of the things that there was another part of the conversation we're not going to be able to get to today. We're going to have to come back to that because I want to continue this conversation. I want to kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm just going to start talking about sex all the time. I do offline, I just do it online. But I think it's like a book like this is a great book for a couple to read, or anyone recommended. Is if you're reading it together, you can be like, well, what do you think about that? Did you know this? Did you, because this actually talks about when the male and female genitalia are developing in utero, how similar they are. And so I think from what I've practiced is I know the parts that are the parts for the guy. And I know the parts of mine that equal those parts, and I know what feels good on me, and so that's what I know to tap into on that side. And that always, it never misses, man. I know, I'm because if it works for you, it's going to work for them. It's just knowing what those parts are. But the fact that a lot of people don't realize that you start with essentially the same parts, they just develop differently. That surprises a lot of people. So I feel like the couple conversation or the partner conversation, that could start there, and that's a very intimate conversation. I had no idea we had the same parts and we could actually please each other the same way we like to please ourselves, in obviously modifications.
Right. No,
similarity between men and women, and we have lived so many centuries being taught that we are so very different, that ours is sacred and theirs is powerful. I'm like, no, dude, ours is sacred and powerful because nothing happens without those. Sorry.
We are all so powerful and so sacred. We really are. And even if a let's say a person in a male's body doesn't have a physical vagina, a physical womb, they still have access energetically to their parts, right? To the womb, the sacred womb. And this is a whole different kind of conversation. So everyone's like,
yes,
but really we all have that. And when we can really start to honor our sexuality, then we have to start to honor the masculine and the feminine divine within each of us as individuals.
Yes.
And so now it's not so this binary, it's just, your vagina and your and your penis or your whatever it is that how you're choosing. It's important to recognize that we hold within us energetically both parts, and that's a game changer when we can bring that into the bedroom with our partner.
Yes.
It allows us to be able to flow more in that masculine and feminine energy, and it's not about your body parts are more powerful, I'm more passive, you're like, no.
Right. No, it's a partnership. You're actually in there together, having an experience together. If it's just fucking, that's not good. No. Nobody wants to just fuck. Sorry.
Sometimes I do.
I mean, it's fun.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to just be like a whole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to have an experience. I want to experience that. And I feel like, you see all these movies that were like from the 50s where the women are just like so sad because the guy was like, well, I came, so we're done. Like, how sad? Like, I would hate to have lived like that, you know? So, and that's kind of, and there was something that you said though. So I wanted to finish off with this. We're gonna like bypass the conversation on WAP. We're gonna come back to that. But there was a conversation my son in his English AP classes, AP Lang class was having this morning on WAP that I want to continue talking about. But one thing that you said this week that, and I don't know if I can pull up the quote really quickly, and you could probably remember it, but it was the thing about being precious, about holding yourself precious.
Yeah, finding yourself precious enough that you are more selective about who you allow into your space, I can't remember the exact thing that I wrote. Sometimes I just like, there it is. It is about
Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Let's see. Veronica on Instagram. Oh, yeah. So real quick, tell everybody how to follow you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on IG. I'm Veronica L. Clark on IG. And on Facebook, Veronica L. Clark as well. So Veronica L. Clark. Facebook, Instagram. You can also take a look at my website at veronicalynclark.com. I've got some videos on there. I've got audio recordings. And you can set up some one-on-one time with me so that we can do some more coaching. It's very personalized, of course, as coaching should be. But it's very specific to whatever your needs are and wherever you want to move in regards to your sexual expression and your sexual healing. So those are what
I've got the quote. I've got the quote here. Yeah. Find yourself precious enough that you become selective about who you let into your life and who you let close to you. So that actually kind of stung a little bit because I was like, it's not that I'm not selective. It's just I wasn't in a particular situation finding myself precious enough. Yeah. And I was like, I need to. And it's a constant reminder, right? It's like you need to remember to take your vitamins. You need to remember to meditate. You need to remember to find yourself precious enough. Yeah. So all this conversation about sexuality and all of our power and everything else and all the energy, that all comes at the same time and needs to live in harmony with finding yourself precious. Yeah. So if you find yourself precious, you won't have shame in your body. Right. If you find yourself precious, you won't allow people to take advantage of you, your heart, or your parts. Yeah. And if you find yourself precious, then you're going to be cool with, you're going to invite energetically what you said. You're going to energetically invite or post those boundaries around you without even having to say a word. So I loved that. That sat with me. You posted that and then you created a little gift. So it's been sitting with me for like the last, I want to say 10 to 15 days. Wow. Thank you so much for those words.
Thank you. Thank you for that reflection that impacted you that much. So that means a lot too, just as a reminder to keep on sharing what is true for us, Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So I usually just go like half an hour, in a little over because it's a very exciting conversation. Yeah. Very stimulating.
Bouncy Balls, very stimulating.
I'm so glad we connected and we got to be able to do this. And I'm excited that, we're going to have another conversation later. And my baggies are all over the place right now.
We don't care. It's a Hot Mess Monday. And that's just how it is right now. So it's great.
It's just messy. Oh, dude, I am like today, literally, like when I was talking to you, literally jumped on here as a complete hot mess.
Yeah,
You
so
know, we were on the phone together.
I had a wonderful, wonderful night, and so I'm feeling like super radiant actually. And I was like, I don't really care. This is how I
I
make it now. What up, folks? So it's great.
I just love running up and down the stairs just for yucks. All right. Well, thank you so much, Veronica, for being on with me. I'm gonna pull you aside real quick and say goodbye to my people. You guys, for
Bye,
sure,
guys.
Veronica everywhere. All right, cool. Well, thanks, you guys. I hope this wasn't too a little too much for you all. This was a great conversation for me, and I want to continue having those conversations. So let me know what you thought. Like, was it a little too much for you? Are you uncomfortable? What do you want to know more about? What should we continue talking about? Because I really feel like this is a conversation that needs to keep happening. So, and people all seem to think that Hot Mess is about sex anyway. So run with it, I guess, right? So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining me today on all 3 channels. So exciting. I think I am having a hot flash right now. Anyway, I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.